Hey, my name's Sean Shaler. That's my friend Aaron Carnes. Apologies if by some miracle you're the one person who was watching on Twitch when we tried this one time. We're just going to start fresh. I didn't love that intro. I don't know much Sega Genesis stuff. I love talking about cheap, physical games, so I brought a fellow like grade A certified tightass like myself who knows more about the Genesis than myself to come on, talk about this underappreciated system. Aaron, what's going on, buddy? How you doing, man?
Good, man. I'm just here to be cheap and talk Genesis.
That was so much cleaner intro. I'm really glad we did this again. Again, sorry, one Twitch viewer. I really apologize. So I'm going to set the stage here. Last time I set the stage, I'm going to repeat that story because it was good. I just did this with the GameCube like a week ago or 2 weeks ago because GameCube has spiked in price. Genesis, almost the opposite. Genesis, a kind of collector-friendly console at this point, relatively speaking. So the bad guys broke into your house. They stole all your Sega Genesis games and all of your things of monetary value. So you don't even have any trade cap. They stole all your other video games, but in your safe, your red-blooded American gun safe, or just the safe where you keep the papers, whatever. You have your backup Sega Genesis, and your wife is like, here's $100. Go down to the price charting store, the pricecharting.com store, where all prices are set in stone across all the internets, and buy yourself $100 worth of Sega Genesis games, loose, and don't pay taxes. I don't know why not. Taxes included, probably. Taxes included. You got $100. What are you coming back with? I figure we go back and forth, alternate. You'll give one, I give one, and get through our lists. But mostly, I'm using you right now. I'm abusing our friendship, hoping that you'll teach me Genesis things, inspire cheap physical game ideas for me to go grab. So, as we're talking, if other ideas, things come up, please just shout them out. That's all I really care about. Here to learn.
Buy every Sega Genesis game under $20.
That's probably a lot of sports games. That's going to be a lot of sports games. Maybe
Besides the sports games.
a lot of EA games. There are good sports games. We're going to touch on a couple very good ones in our opinions. But hey, if without further ado, unless you got any other questions, let's get rolling.
Let's do it.
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Excellent.
First thing I have on my list, it's one of those love it or hate it. It's a sequel to
I know what's coming. I already heard this part once. No.
to one of the prettier games on the system. It's Echo: The
I'll give you
Tides of
that.
Time. Comes in at a mere $7, $5 under its original counterpart, and I think it's smoother, a little more accessible, just as pretty. Really shows off that blast processing at its later stages of use.
In the first recording, we got through this one here. I didn't even compliment that it probably is. We talked about the music a little bit, but just aesthetically in general, the whole atmosphere. I will say that it could be the most pleasant atmosphere in any Genesis games between Echo and Tides of Time. They're gorgeous, lovely. I don't have two. I have one. I don't play it because I'm a huge wussy and they're hard. Any tips? What's gonna make me like Echo? How do I get good at Echo? Is it
I
possible?
I've played through Tides of Time like 3 years ago, and I used the guide all the way through because I literally couldn't get past like the second level. I couldn't figure it out.
Does the guide teach your dolphin how to hold his breath longer?
Nope. Sonic the Hedgehog still holds his breath longer
That's
than
true.
a dolphin.
Sonic the Hedgehog has tremendous lung capacity for a little fella. I'll bash Echo a little bit. It's pretty hard and it can be pretty obtuse. At least the first one can. But if you like big sort of open adventure, lots of exploration, pretty cathartic experience, other than the anxiety of holding your breath for a short amount of time.
That really is the only real tension in it. Any few real kind of battles that you get into with the bosses are more figure out a trick rather than like some tense like back and forth thing.
More trickery and less Dark Souls.
Exactly.
Echo the Dolphin is not a Dark Souls esque game. What? How's that? What?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, I'm not ashamed to say I own the first one. My first one, I'm going to get the cheap one out of the way. Cheap in style or theory, not cost so much. But I think everybody needs this in their Genesis collection. It's the Genesis 6-pack. Genesis 6-pack. And so I already like compilations and anthologies, like even cheap, bad rip-off ones. I always get a lot of joy like trying out each one of these games, seeing what they're knocking off or whatever. but probably objectively the best kind of compilation or anthology or collection is when it's legitimate games, not ports, not emulation, but legitimate games. And in this case, like legitimate games from the console. So it's other Sega Genesis games that are not being emulated. They're just all jammed into this one 6-pack. And I think even if you don't like other types of compilations and collections, I mean, this one's just 6 legitimate games stuffed in there. They happen to be pretty good. Not great, not all of them, but you get Streets of Rage, which is really good. Sonic the Hedgehog 1, which I don't care for 1, quite frankly, but it's fine. It's still a Sonic game. I just don't like it. Golden Axe 1, which might be my favorite Golden Axe for nostalgic purposes. Columns, more of a Tetris guy, or Puzzle League maybe, but Columns is fine, whatever. Revenge of Shinobi, which I'm horrible at, and Super Hang On, which is fine. I don't play a ton of racing games. So, got 6 solid games, a good collection. Again, it's not like you're being emulated on the next gen console. It's like, no, these are this console games, full titles, right there, $10. Think everybody needs this one. Go grab it.
Absolutely. I mean, at $10, you're coming in at half the price that it's going to cost you just to grab Streets of Rage by itself.
Which is probably the best game. I'm going to say the best game on the collection, personally. Streets of Rage 1 and 2 are my favorite. Maybe my favorites on the console.
Yeah, it's definitely the best. I don't like Sonic 1 that much either.
Weird level design, in Sonic 1, and no spin dash hurts.
I didn't play Sonic 1 until after I played Sonic 2, so I was like...
Golden Axe 1 or 2 for you? Golden Axe 1 or 2?
2.
You can't see it, but right now 1 is playing in the background of the video. And I always use Tyrus Flare because I'm a pervert. No, well... I mean, I'm still a pervert, but as a child, I was like, oh, I gotta play with the lady because she's wearing a bikini, and that's how child Sean thinks. And I'm sorry, but yeah, nostalgia for 1 and using Tyrus. I also love 2. They're pretty similar-ish in most ways, but
yeah, they're both better than 3.
They're both better than 3. Amen. What's the one we didn't get? Death Adder or something that we should have got that was in the arcade, but it never came home.
Yeah.
And that was the great one, right? We should have got that.
It is really good. I've played it on some compilation somewhere.
I've only played it on a compilation, or probably emulated even, or both. Maybe, it could have been emulated in some compilation disc somewhere. All right, hit me up with your second one.
Oh, my second one I think is a classic. I imagine a lot of Sega owners have this one laying around. It's another sequel to a good one, NBA Jam Tournament Edition. I loved NBA Jam when I was a kid. I was obsessed with being able to change people's heads. I don't know why I thought it was so cool that I could be Bill Clinton. But by God, I knew the Bill Clinton code when I was a little kid, and I always used it whenever I played NBA Jam.
Okay, I don't think I have Tournament Edition. I know I would happily play any of them, but my second game is NBA Hang Time. I don't remember how the licensing thing works. It's like Acclaim had home consoles, and then Midway had arcade, and then Midway wanted to bring one home or something. I forget how it went. No idea. Basically the same gameplay experience. I think Hang Time maybe a year or 2 later roster-wise. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
It may have even come out after Tournament Edition.
I'm like so. 80 to 90%. Like, I'm pretty sure. Not positive, but pretty sure. And so I picked Hang Time because that's the one I have nostalgia for. I would say either of these games, like,
they're both great arcade basketball.
It's basically the same game, and gosh, they're a lot of fun. Yeah. Who's your team? Who's your Tournament Edition team? What's your go-to?
I mean, if I'm just going to be a jerk, I'd play as the rookies, but...
Okay, solid choice.
If not, I mean, even though it is my team in real life, it really wasn't back then, but I knew they were good, was the Cavaliers, because they have Mark Price on there, and his defense is a 10. He gets to steal almost every time you get anywhere near somebody on the ball. They're kind of like broken.
He makes for a pretty nasty opponent. So at least on Hang Time, Jamal Mashburn, so Mavericks,
Yep.
Just very good all around, like almost Scottie Pippen-ish, maybe better shooter, lower defense. Or I don't remember if Tournament Edition, I assume it had the create a player, right? You create a player, you earn their stats over time.
NBA Jam never had that.
Okay, so Hang Time, you get the create a player, and as you win games, you get stats in like threes. Like you win 3 games, you get 2 or 3 points of stats to build your guy up. So just like I do with all things, I compensate for lack of talent by grinding. grind through basketball games. They're like 3 minutes a pop. They're legitimately like 5 minutes long. And eventually you've got the perfect 7
Right.
foot tall, massive, good at everything basketball player. Worth your time. I think Hang Time comes in. Let me check the price. I think it came in at $5, maybe. Yeah, $5.
Tournament edition comes in at 9. So hang time might really be the better option out of those two. That creative player is pretty sweet. I
If
kind
you
of forgot
haven't,
about that.
if you haven't tried it personally, you should just for that. Just create a player.
Absolutely.
Start off something janky. My favorite part is that even height is a stat, right? So like if you're spending height points on your height, like it's taking away your points. So you always start off short and just shooting threes, and that's how you just get through ball games, shooting threes, and then eventually you round out your guys' game a little bit. Give it a shot sometime. I think you'll appreciate it. I know I've played Tournament Edition maybe on the Saturn. It came out. It was like a
Yeah.
console. What do you call it? Like a tweener. And so
Yeah.
Tournament Edition came out everywhere. So go play both. I technically gave my next game then, so it's back to you already.
Oh yeah, that's right. My next game, going in a different direction to the fighting genre that's so well represented on Sega. And I went with Eternal Champions because I don't really think those old Mortal Kombat games hold up that well. And man, Eternal Champions just looks so good. The sprites are humongous instead of being that weird early motion capture. They're just humongous, really pretty sprites. Instead of fatalities, yeah, there it is. There it is with the weird rip-off Green Lantern guy on the front.
Oh yeah, he's very handsome. He's like Green Lantern meets Johnny Cage is probably the idea.
I was going to say Geordie LaForge.
I'm not familiar with that. Is that something I gotta look up?
No, that's the guy from Star Trek that LeVar Burton is on Star Trek.
Oh no, kidding. I'm
He
not
wears
a. I haven't. I have very limited Trek experience.
Oh yeah, he wears glasses and is just generally sort of looks like that. So for whatever reason, in my mind, I've always like thought of him as like some weird Geordie LaForge ripoff.
That seems legitimate. I'm getting so nervous over here. I was talking about Hang Time. I don't know if a younger brother stole it or something, maybe.
Oh,
Oh no,
Hang Time's
I'll take a.
missing.
Well, and I know I have it on the Super Nintendo too, so I'll go check over there. And if it's gone from there too, I'll know that he just took both of them. Jackass. I don't know. He probably
No more
didn't.
Hang Time for you.
Whatever. It's $5. I'll go buy another one.
That's right.
So just for what it's worth, I didn't put a fighting game on my list. If I did, I'd put Eternal Champions because first of all, it's pretty unique to the other ones in our opinion. Second of all, it's pretty cheap. It's $5-6, right?
Yeah, I got it at $6.
Six loose.
Yep.
Looks great. Sounds really cool. I mean, I'm sure people can disagree with us on that, but I think it looks cool. Or at least, 90s Sean would have thought it looks pretty cool. I didn't
They
put it
can
on.
disagree, but they'd be wrong.
Why would they do that? We are the authorities on good-looking 90s fighting games, apparently. Except for I'm not, because I didn't put a fighting game on my list because I suck at all of them. All of them. Across the
Oh
board.
yeah, I'm atrocious.
And I think Eternal Champions relatively is kind of complex. I think if it's probably easier to jump into a Street Fighter Hyper Fighting Edition or whatever.
Absolutely.
But hey, you know what? Maybe it's worth the grind to have something a little unique to the Sega Genesis. Not that it was unique to the Sega Genesis, but more unique on the Sega Genesis, I guess.
It was a Genesis exclusive. It got a Sega CD, kind of a upgraded version, but I guess it was a Sega exclusive. It didn't ever go to any other consoles. And then it just died on Sega CD.
I was thinking it was 32X, but it was CD. Am I messing that up?
Yep, Sega
CD.
CD.
Okay, my bad. And you know what? To be fair, that one's probably not all that expensive either. So if you happen to own one of those obscure, awkward pieces of Sega monstrosity tech,
Oh,
go
yes,
grab
get
it
the
there.
Sega CD version. It's even better. It looks really good.
I do have a Sega CD. I never plug it in because A, I'm afraid I'll break it, and it's worth more in terms of dollars than it is to me playing it because I own like no games for it. And B, I almost probably can't even figure out how to hook those damn things up because it's wild. Like when you get the 32X and the CD all in one, it's pretty wild. Would not recommend. My my second one's not very exciting at all. I went with Miss Pac-Man, and it's $4. It's really cheap. I tend to like Pac-Man quite a bit, just across the board. But this is a really good port of Miss Pac-Man. It's probably the best sort of old port of anything in the Pac-Man universe, and at least to me, I know it's not a joystick, but something about the roundedness of the Genesis controller, it feels really good on the Genesis controller. Personal opinion, nothing that insane about it. Does have a pretty wide array of gameplay options in it for a Pac-Man game. So cheap and easy. Go grab it.
I like it. I have it on my shelf as well.
It's $4 for a really good version of a Pac-Man universe game. No, I don't have anything else to say. It's just Pac-Man. Nothing too interesting.
It's better than Pac-Man: The New Adventures.
Testify. Which is that Super Nintendo and Genesis that come out everywhere?
I think so. That weird point and click Pac-Man game that
I
nobody
never I
actually
never could figure it out. You start the game and he like walks into a rock and I don't know what I'm doing and then it's over.
That's tried so many times. I've been like, I'm gonna play this.
I have no
Same
idea
thing.
what to even do. I'm watching the footage. So just FYI, Aaron can't see the footage. I've just got some gameplay footage from the six pack rolling through the background, and I'm just laughing because I'm watching myself get my ass kicked in Streets of Rage by the second level boss on easy. Also, I need a partner, and in particular, a partner who's better than me. So if you're bored, come help a nerd out. All right, man. What's your next one?
Yeah, went a little more expensive on this one, and this is where I'm gonna get into a bunch of my stuff is licensed after this.
Which is surprising.
Quack Shot, Donald Duck, plunger gun, platformer. It sounds like it should be the worst concept ever, but it's actually pretty fun and pretty deep. I like that it has a non-linear path. You can start in a few different places and do a few different things to expand where you can go. You don't just have to like play one level, go to the next level. You can kind of hop around. You can leave a level whenever you want to. It's wide open for a platformer on the Genesis.
Is that Capcom? Back in the days where like Capcom Disney platformers were good.
I don't know. Yeah, I should know, but I
Ignore my
don't think it's Capcom.
ignore my clickety clacks on the keyboard here. I'm curious. I want to find out because there was a time where all, as you mentioned, all licensed games, not all, vast majority are awful, but man, the NES and like early Super Nintendo Genesis era, some of those Capcom Disney ones. I mean, everybody who's watching this and would care about this probably already knows that, so I don't know why I'm saying it. But let me see. Developers, Sega and Disney Interactive are the developers of Quackshot. Interesting.
First party.
Yeah,
That's
solid.
weird for Sega.
A little bit.
It'll piss you off sometimes, but it's good.
I've never played it, but I mean, I like everything related to Mickey Mouse and Genesis platformer. I know it looks good. I've seen other people play it. GameSack review on Sega Genesis, they play it at some point. Looks great. What's that one run you these days?
Oh, $17.
Okay. Is that the most expensive one on your list?
Tied.
Todd? So my next one, I went for another cheap one, but I wanted to match your licensed throw in here. So I went with Buster's Hidden Treasure. It's $4. It's just a really good Konami platformer. If you don't like Tiny Toons, I know so many people that know Looney Tunes but not Tiny Toons. I grew up in the Tiny Toons era, like it means slightly more to me. But you and I have talked about the Konami Tiny Toon Adventures on the NES. It's really good,
Yeah.
and this is just an extension of that. We've also talked about Babs's Big Break. That's a really good one on a Game Boy. So just back in a time where Konami was making decent licensed stuff out of some of those Warner properties. But they also had some shit.
Yeah.
That's
Most
all.
of the Tiny Toon stuff was good. Tiny Toon Adventures 2 on NES, not so much, but other than that, yeah. I've played a little bit of this one, and it's not bad.
I don't remember Tiny Toon Adventures 2 on the NES, but if it's bad, maybe there's a good reason. I do have.
It weirdly breaks the formula and is like all these weird mini games that don't really. It doesn't play like the other ones do.
So I have Buster's Hidden Treasure, and I thought I had Acme All Stars also, which is like 4 or 5 like miniature sports games, and
Oh
it's
yeah, I've seen that, but I've never played that one.
fine, but it wasn't great either. There again, maybe it's that broken formula type of deal. But I also don't know who developed it. It could have been somebody else. Might not have been Konami. No idea. All right, man. What's next?
So I went sports game again here. This is my second and last sports game on the list. Super generic name. It's just called College Football's National Championship. Uh, Super cheap at $5. It's the cheapest one on my list. It's what you would expect from 16-bit football. It's top down, 11 on 11. It has some basic announcing.
Top down, north south, or east west? Oh, sorry.
North south.
North
Yeah,
south.
north south, top down.
So kind of the modern standard,
Yeah, like
at least.
the vertical scroller. Yeah, you can tell it's like the very early stages of where we got to with it.
Awesome.
I think the thing that sets it apart is on handoffs and passes that are complete, either when you hand off or when the pass completes. Before that, you're kind of up high view, small sprites, almost a Tecmo Bowl look, and then you get almost like a couple frames of pause, and it zooms down in, and you're seeing like more of like your 16-bit Sega Genesis sprites, and you're actually like seeing the action up close and being able to like control and do your spin moves and stuff. And I just always thought that was super cool when I was a kid. That combined with the announcing.
It sounds pretty sick. I don't think I've ever played it. Do you remember off the top of your head who the announcers are in there? That's always kind of interesting to me.
It's somebody generic.
Just generic announcers.
But it's supposed to sound like Keith Jackson, but it's not him.
Got it. Well, that's too bad. That would have been a nice throw-in.
You can tell, like, whoever it is, they're like, yes, go in there and sound like Keith Jackson, please. There's no Will Nellies in there or anything. And they're like, let's not get sued.
On Tecmo Super Bowl, I use the Eagles all the time, and I just pass constantly. I don't bother running, and so I get to play where you got two backs, the two back set, and there's all 5 people go out on routes, and then the tight end just comes over the middle, and he's your A button, like he's your next route, so AA, and he's that route, and so even if they're coming for a sack, even if they break the play and pick the play, you still get that pass off, and Keith Jackson is sick on that game. Is that the same Keith Jackson? I guess I never considered that. It's the same Keith Jackson, right?
Yeah,
Former Eagle tight end Pro Bowler Keith Jackson / announcer Keith Jackson.
No, it can't be. Not if he was on Tecmo Super Bowl, because Keith Jackson's like 80.
Okay, that's I never thought of that. I just assumed it was the same guy. Oh well, learned something new today. All right, well, former tight end Pro Bowler Keith Jackson, Philadelphia Eagles. You get the Eagles, you run that play, and you just get into a rhythm where if you see them bust your play, you just AAB, right? And then even if they're going to sack you, you got 10 yards. A lot of times they'll dive. A lot of times you'll get 12 out of the deal. It's pretty solid. Would recommend. Forgive me, I haven't played my college football game, which I'm going to toss on here. I picked one too. I picked Bill Walsh College Football, and I haven't played it in a long time. Probably since like after school, going to their buddy's house where we had to wait on my dad. And this one's $6. I remember liking it a lot. I tried to do some research to see if there's other football games that I should consider. The Sterling Sharp one was kind of interesting. I don't know if you remember that one.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Gosh, I hope it wasn't like Super Nintendo exclusive and I'm just making stuff up. The Maddens were pretty good at like, I want to say 95. According to the internet, is when they got rid of the weird passing windows.
Oh, yeah.
That, to me, is a good thing when those went away. What I remember about Bill Walsh College Football is that it felt pretty deep. So you don't get all the college teams. I don't know if there's like 40 or 50 of them in there. But you can make it a playoff. You can ditch BCS format for a playoff in college football. And it's fairly deep for a Genesis game. Or at least it felt like it. So, forgive me, I haven't played in a while, but it's $6, and I know it was good back then, and I have to have a football game on my list. Honestly, that's where I'm going to burn more hours than any other game I play. It's going to be on a college football game, or on any football game, frankly. So
absolutely,
that's mine.
My runner-up would be Deion Sanders primetime football.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking. I thought Sterling Sharp. Maybe I'm thinking about Deion Sanders. I'm
I haven't played that one in a long time. I remember it being cool back then, but it could be hot garbage now.
But I think we picked a good one, or at least we tried. We tried. I haven't played mine
Yeah.
in a while. Maybe I should go. Maybe I should go grab it. Okay, Sterling Sharp end to end looks like it might just be a Super Nintendo game.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I didn't even know he had a game.
Maybe the Deion Sanders game, like they couldn't get the license on both consoles, and like, all right, you take
Oh,
Sterling Sharp.
maybe it is. Maybe it's the
I have
same
no
game,
idea. I'm
just
just
different
making
guys.
shit up.
But
But Deion Sanders Primetime Football '96. I don't know. It looks like a good game. I'd play it. Okay, yeah. My backup would be probably Madden 95 is the first one where the internet says they got rid of passing windows, but it still like wasn't super complicated or overly complicated for the three buttons you had. All right, man. I'm sorry. I keep like stealing your thunder and then throwing shit right back on you, but it's your turn again.
all right, yeah. So my next one, another license, but what I really consider to be maybe one of the best licensed games ever made. I know that's like high praise, but Jurassic Park, I think is just excellent. And it's essentially two games in one because you can play as Grant and you get one set of levels that is built for that character that he is, that's more of a run and shoot. You have a small ability to scale things and climb things. But then you can play as the Raptor and it's more of a platformer with less focus on having to fight. Oh, well, use that Rampage Edition?
That's this. Is that what you're talking about, or is it different
Oh,
things?
no, that's a different game. That's good too.
Okay.
Rampage Edition is cool too.
Okay.
That one is. I think you can only be the Raptor on that one.
Don't make fun
That
of
one
me, but I think so. My friend Ian, who did the last video, gave me this for. We still do like friend name drawings at Christmas for cheap presents, and he gave me a few games, and this is one of them. Ian, don't get mad. I haven't tried this yet, and I also haven't tried the Jurassic Park game that you're talking about yet, either. But I will both soon.
they're both super fun. There's actually even a third Jurassic Park game on Genesis, which is Jurassic Park: The Lost World. It's not as good as those, but it's decent.
You had another game on your list here that I feel like was like that, where it's like I'd played a sequel or something close to it, but not quite the same thing. We'll get to it in a minute. All right. So, what kind of game is this, though? What genre are we talking here?
If mostly a platformer, just depending on like if you're playing as Grant, it's more of a run and gun type platformer. If you are playing as the Velociraptor, it's a little more of like big jumps, less enemies. I think it's superior when you play as Grant because there's a little more variety to it. There's actually one stage where you ride a raft like down a waterfall and down a river, and at one point like a T-Rex comes out, like just the head comes out of like a waterfall, and it's pretty impressive looking for Sega.
Sometimes I forget just how big of a deal Jurassic Park was. And
It was. I
you're
saw it
kind of
in the
hardcore sci-fi guy, also too, aren't you?
yeah. I
Just in
saw it.
general.
My parents thought it was a good idea to take me to see that when I was 8 years old.
Well, they're like, "Hey, this movie has dinos in it, and it's new. Let's go see it." And you're like, "All right, I like dinos." And then you're,
It's Steven Spielberg. He loves ET.
"Yeah, dude, he's gonna dig this."
I had
Well, parents, not your
nightmares
fault.
for years.
That was
Years.
before the internet, parents. That was before
Yeah,
the internet.
they didn't know. I'm still terrified of that scene in the kitchen.
Ooh, that is a tough one to get over. I remember the third Jurassic Park better than the other ones, just because of the like I don't even the cell phone and the poop. I think that's the third one, right? And I can always picture that cell phone ringer because that's what I spend my time thinking about apparently. But okay, Jurassic Park. I'll try Rampage Edition at some point. I'll try that edition at some point. Did you say a price? What's that one coming at?
Oh yeah, $7.
Okay. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I can do that. I'll follow your license with a license. This is definitely the worst game on my list, and quite frankly, it shouldn't be here, but it's here for nostalgia. I can't help myself. It's Hook, and I've never played Hook on the Sega Genesis. I have it. I got it fairly recently, like within the past 6 months or so, on the Genesis. I have it on the Super Nintendo. I did look to see, and I can validate that it's probably notably worse on the Genesis. Like, it's probably an okay game on the Super Nintendo and then a mediocre to bad game on the Genesis. But I would describe it as like a very slow, deliberate action platformer, kind of light puzzle elements. When I say slow, deliberate, most people would describe it as like, oh, it lags and it's boring or whatever. Don't forget, I'm pretty bad at video games in general. So that slow pace does old Sean some favors, and it is pretty deliberate. I can take my time, I can be thoughtful. You can kind of cling to Tink to fly for short bits when she appears in certain spaces. Your sword reach is pretty small because it's not a sword, it's a knife. Like, it just things that make sense to me. I liked the movie. I liked it on the Super Nintendo. It's probably worse on the Genesis, so maybe it's not a good idea. But I got a pretty big old soft spot. Happy to admit that I think it's probably the lowest quality game on my list in general, but I'll go pick it up on the Super Nintendo, I don't know, once a year and play quite a bit of it.
I enjoy the movie, but I've never played the game.
$10 for the game on the Genesis. I don't know what it runs on Super Nintendo. I would say if you get a chance to emulate it on your laptop someday just for some giggles, I don't know. I don't think you'll hate it. You probably won't love it. It's the opposite of blast processing. It's like it's well-paced processing.
Jurassic Park, if you play as Grant on Jurassic Park, I would definitely describe it in the same way. Like, it's very deliberate. Like, you see those dinosaurs and you know that they can kill you, so you better take your time.
Right, you're not sonicking through that stage. You're taking some time.
No.
And Hook, I wouldn't even call it puzzling elements so much as like creative problem-solving elements. Like, hey, how can I use Tink to get through around this, and knowing that my sword swing is bad, things like that. But you're also talking to a guy that likes wizards and warriors, so maybe I just like bad platformers. I don't know.
I like that too.
I do like that a lot. Secret, yeah, what do I call it? Like guilty pleasure, wizards and warriors. $10 Hook on the Genesis.
I got my next one coming in right at that dollar amount too, at $9, and also my probably what I would consider the lowest game on my list, but I have a soft spot for it.
Everybody's got bad games they like, man.
It's Incredible Crash Dummies.
I've never played this one. I knew it was a game, but I was interested to hear. I feel like this could go anyway. Is it a platform where you explode and your body parts go over? Is it a racing game? Like, what are we talking about with Crash Dummies?
It has both of those. It has all the elements you just mentioned. Part of your health is losing body parts. You can gain them back. There are some elements of driving in it, but it usually involves you trying to crash and like have like button pressing to make yourself go fast, so you crash to somehow save the world. I imagine. I don't know.
Probably you also get awesome.
You get a gun that shoots traffic cones at one point.
That makes perfect sense to me. Yeah.
There's some platforming in it. It's real weird. Surprisingly, like high quality visual and like sound quality on it.
I watched the AVGN like somewhat recently-ish. Even did Incredible Crash Test Dummies on the NES. And, I mean, that thing is garbage. But I don't think he touches on Genesis or anything like that. So maybe there's hope for this
NES version is so bad.
I've never tried it. I've only ever seen him play it. And it does look, I mean, it looks pretty rough.
It's like NES X-Men versus Genesis X-Men.
Genesis X-Men is so hard that's not a great comparison. Give me a Sean level comparison. No, I'm just kidding. I know what you mean.
I thought about putting X-Men on my list, and I was like, no, maybe I shouldn't do that to people.
It's so hard. Oh my goodness. I play it for 20 minutes and then I just like want to break it over my knee. It's so hard. Whatever. I can't say it enough. For as much time as I spend playing video games, I'm good at none of them whatsoever. Okay. You said that came in at $9. Let me see.
Yep.
Okay. My next one. We've had so many good ones that segued from like yours to mine and vice versa in a row. I don't have a good segue for this one. My next one's called Subterranea, and I wanted a shooter on my list somewhere. A lot of decent shooters on the Genesis. are just pretty expensive. I think the Genesis does shooters pretty well.
Hmm.
A lot of them are pretty expensive. I don't have much experience with Subterranea. I do know that it's kind of free floating. I would compare it to Gravatar, like on the Atari 2600. It was like a little bit of resource management, finding, gathering, exploration, shooting, but at its core, it's still a shooter, and it can sound pretty intimidating. But if you fly around, again, it's probably a little more deliberate, which probably suits me a little better. You fly around, you're careful, you shoot things, you tend to do okay. Most importantly, it's always felt like a pretty high quality experience in my opinion for whatever reason, and it's going to cost you $6. So if it even
But
kind of sounds appealing to you, you should probably take a chance on it someday.
and it has the best cover art on Sega Genesis.
Does it really?
Oh my gosh, it has super sweet cover art. I don't even know exactly what's going on it, but it's like some monstrous out of the ground thing, like coming up to eat a ship or something. I don't know. I just always thought it was super cool,
That
like
sounds
case.
sick. Let's see if I can find it here while you tell me your next one.
Oh yeah, well my next one coming in. This is my other one that's in at $17, that tied with Quackshot, but I actually just replayed it again for the first time in a long time, and Spider-Man Maximum Carnage is such a damn good beat 'em up.
I was
It
surprised that it costed so much. It feels like you see it everywhere. It's
I feel like it's almost one of those that's like a little more expensive just because everybody knows it's good and everybody wants to have it. So no, anybody that has it is like, I'm not gonna sell this now.
I blame the angry video game nerd. No, I think the LJN one. I think LJN published the Super Nintendo one, which is also very good. And I want to say Acclaim published this one here. It was probably developed by the same group. I don't know that for sure, but I'm just taking a guess. So it's very good on
LJN
both.
gets some sort of credit on it. They're on the title screen.
Yeah,
I just played it and I was like, oh LJN, I love you. Just kidding.
just kidding. But just keep in mind, LJN publishers, right? Not their fault that it's crap. They're just picking crappy games to
Exactly.
publish.
And Jaws isn't crap. I don't care what anybody says.
Jaws sucks. Good news though, I found Hang Time. I was looking
Ah,
right at it. Good news.
it hasn't been stolen. Your brother's off the hook.
He is. He's a good brother. I shouldn't be mean. Um. So Spider-Man, tell us about Spider-Man. We got a
Uh,
solid, very
yeah,
well
it's
animated
just
beat up, essentially,
yeah,
right?
this huge sprites, super smooth. The wall climbing parts are almost like platforming, but at the same time, like it almost just feels like a legitimate Spider-Man experience. Like, oh, beat up these goons, climb some walls, yeah, beat up some more goons.
I would say if there is a knock, there it's so well animated that it almost makes it feel laggy. It's not. It's a bigger animation. It's a longer stretch of animation, and there again, it's maybe a deliberate thing that helps me out. Maybe I like that, and you get used to it really fast if you give it a chance and you understand what it is. You kind of appreciate it. Looks great. Sounds good. Sounds fine.
Yeah,
Um, but it's very smooth game for a Genesis. It just looks right. That's all I got to
excellent
say about that.
co-op as well.
It I've never gotten to play it co-op because my wife pretty much plays like two games and it's not one of them. It made for what it's worth. It made my honorable mentions list. Absolutely. My next one here. What haven't I covered yet? It's probably time to get to. It's probably time to get to Sonic the Hedgehog. This was a really hard decision for me, and I will get to more of this in a moment. I already have Sonic the Hedgehog 1 on the six pack. I mentioned I don't like it, but I do really like Sonic in general. I did pick Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Long story short, it's $5 and it's really, really good. It's not quite what I wanted. I think I'll save some of that conversation for later. But if you've ever played Genesis, you know what Sonic the Hedgehog is. It's really good.
I love Sonic too. Yeah, it's an excellent game. I mean, it's well made. The stages are a nice variety. I think the music is really the best part of it.
Much better designed than the first Sonic the Hedgehog. feels like a much more thorough game. Like instead of just a cool idea, well, now it's kind of a cool, polished idea, in
Yep.
my opinion.
Spin dash.
Yeah, got the spin dash. That's huge, and the music is genuinely better. Bonus stages are better. Everything good in this sequel. Well done, Sega. And it's $5. If you can't not have it if you have a Genesis,
You
it'd
have
be
to.
outrageous. That's it. What else you say about Sonic?
My next one, another beat 'em up. I think two on my list back to back. I didn't do that on purpose. Also licensed. Maybe one that probably flies a little more under the radar. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie.
Is this different than? I think I have regular Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yes.
It's
So
different than that.
regular Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is a fighting game. It's a one-on-one. Yeah. So that's like a one-on-one Street Fighter type fighting game.
That explains probably why I've never played it. Beat 'em ups I like. Fighting games I
Yeah.
really
So
don't.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, straight up beat 'em up. You start. It lets you select between all five of the original Rangers or the White Ranger. So essentially, if you've seen the Ivan Ooze movie, it's who's in the movie.
Not only have I seen the Ivan Ooze movie, somewhere I've got the full Zord from the Ivan Ooze movie, right? With the cool, the eagle on the back, and that's crazy. The main thing that I remember from that movie is the very attractive Amazoness woman from the other planet. I don't remember what planet it was. Do you recall? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember the name of the planet. I remember the
But you
lady you're
remember the
talking
lady,
about.
right? And she like
Yeah.
swings the sticks and scares the bird things away and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Okay. That was a weird moment in my childhood for me. I was like, I don't know what I'm feeling right now, but it's weird.
Yeah. But yeah, I
Okay.
mean, it's just an overall solid beat 'em up. The Zord you mentioned, there is a level near the end where you get to control it.
Nice.
One thing I like about it is that I'm pretty sure my 3-year-old could set it to the hardest difficulty and beat it.
Are you saying that maybe I could beat it on easy?
Probably,
Maybe.
maybe.
There's hope. There's hope. Everybody,
If
we
you
found a game I can beat. Maybe.
and one legitimately like one of the coolest parts is the parts where you play as the Zord and like you're going through and fighting like a big thing in like a beat 'em up style like boss fight. It's excellent. It's $13. It's a little expensive maybe for what it is. You better be a Power Rangers fan.
By by our standards, it's probably a little pricey. You know what? There's a lot of. I would say that the hardest to narrow down to in my list was good beat 'em ups. There's quite a few in the Genesis. For whatever reason, it works. The three buttons in a row tend to lend themselves pretty well, even though in a couple of them it seems like I only ever use one button. And I don't know, I had a hard time narrowing out which beat 'em ups I wanted in there. But, we'll get to some honorable mentions later. I'll bring them up later.
I have two in my honorable mentions.
Okay, what do I even have left here? Oh, I see. Next one is Road Rash. I went with two, and this is tough for me because I also don't love this style of racing. I like racing games later when you get to Gran Turismos and kind of true racing sims. I never liked this racing game where it feels like the world is being built about 30 feet in front of you, right? So it wasn't until like PlayStation and N64 where I really started liking racing games. I do like Road Rash. I think the combat elements and getting to spend the money in between the races and all that stuff, that does it for me. I thought about leaving it off because I got Super Hang on the six pack, but Super Hang On is great, but again, there's nothing else to it, right?
No, there's not. It's literally just make sure you turn at the right time and hold down the gas.
The arcade, or sorry, there's like arcade and original version of Super Hang On, and the original does have more meat to it. But all it comes down to in Road Rash is that you get to punch people, and
Yep.
that's pretty cool. And that's
And hit
honestly
him
about
with
half of it.
pains.
It's not 100% racing. It's about 50% trying really hard to punch people, and then also 50% remembering that you're running a race. It is $14 for two. I picked two over one because it's a little better in my opinion, and it has
Yeah.
the multiplayer that I think one is missing. But they're
Yes.
really close. So if you don't care about multiplayer, I shouldn't because my wife won't ever play it with me. And you live in Ohio. $11 for the first one. It's an honorable mention. 14 for the second one. They're both great games.
much like Golden Axe, just stay away from the third one.
Stay away from the third one. Amen. Testify.
Last game on my list. So right now I'd be sitting at $90. I got $10 left. It's too easy to know what to spend my last $10 on because it's Aladdin. It's one of my all-time favorite Genesis games. I think the because I love that movie. That's another one. Show my age, but I saw that movie in the movie theater.
I do love that movie. It is one of my favorite Disney movies. Robin Williams is a legend. He's an absolute legend.
I think the music in it is such a perfect recreation for that old style video game music. The gameplay is awesome with having apples and your sword as two different options for fighting. I always thought was very like it adds a lot to it. It's hard. It's pretty damn hard.
I'd say so.
I can get maybe like 60% of the way into it before I'm just gonna fall off a cliff and not be able to progress probably any farther unless I have some amazing run. But it just looks so damn good and it's so much fun.
One of those like late night runs where you get like idiot savant level good somehow or other. I have this game. It pisses me off because it's and you know what? It's hard. It's probably not like unreasonably hard for most people's standards. I can't ever get anywhere on it. I did list both this and Lion King as as an honorable mention. I know they're beloved games. This one's easier than Lion King, for the record,
Yeah.
if you're interested. Yeah. You can get past the second level on this one, which I can't always say for myself on the Lion King. You get the sword in this one, which in my mind makes it better than the Super Nintendo version. I'm sure there's debate on that, but I like having the sword. My compilation Love and Heart is a little broken right now. The 6-pack. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 10 of my dollars out. I'm going to sell Road Rash, and I'm going to pay $14 to mail you the 6-pack. I'm going to do that just for you, man. So you can also have a 6-pack. Aladdin, Prince of Thieves is the third one. Did you ever see that movie?
No, I've never seen it. I see it on Disney Plus now, but we haven't watched it. But I didn't even know it existed until recently.
It was direct to video, and in hindsight, I know it's bad. Like my adult self understands it. Childhood, maybe like my weirdest childhood nostalgic Disney movie other than Hercules. And it was direct to video, right? It's not like I saw it in theaters, and we didn't even have cable. My mom just stumbled on it at a garage sale one day. Watch it with your son and try to put yourself in your like 10-year-old brain. And I think you'll find some of the most fun, clever like jokes and dialogue of the Aladdin movies. The quality of the voice acting and everything else, not as great. It's direct to video for a reason. But put yourself in that space, watch it with your son. I think you'll have a good time.
He likes Aladdin. I'm sure I could convince him to sit down and watch it.
I think you'll appreciate it too. I don't think you'll mind it at all. Not one speck. For what it's worth, I think Return of Jafar was direct to video too, right? I think the second one was direct to video as well.
I don't know.
Did it have a theater? Might have had a theater
release.
Might have had a theater release. Anything? I know I've hijacked your conversation again because I don't know how to shut up. Anything else on Aladdin?
No, just it's harder than it should be for a child's game. I could say the same thing for about every Disney game on Genesis.
Testify. I will get my Game Genie. I will cheat my way through it. I'll have some fun. It'll be great. I'm seeing now that maybe I should have gone first because I had maybe one more game than you did. So I've got 2 in a row here. Is that all right? I'll name them both. The first one is Sword of Vermilion, which is weird. It's weird by kind of action RPG standards. Like your brain wants it to be like a Legend of Zelda thing or a Mystic Warriors thing, but it's not really either. But the key is that it is an RPG, and it is pretty big, and I would say it's not easy, but it's easy to grasp, like the combat. If there's one thing that scares me away from action on RPGs, sometimes like complicated combat, I tend to veer towards the easier. This is simple, repetitive, boring even. It's a big action RPG that's fairly inexpensive, and I wanted one of those on my list, is really what it amounts to. I know I'm going to blow several happy hours playing this game. It's $14. It's weird. Don't go into it hoping for action in the Legend of Zelda sense, because you're not going to get it. Like if you read it and it says action RPG on Wikipedia, it's totally different. It's like a JRPG with an action RPG battle system almost, if you want to call it that. Don't
Yeah.
even know how to describe it. But Sword of Vermilion, easiest way to do this one is like it's always on those collections and compilations that Sega puts out. Go play it there. And then the last one, taking a shot in the dark here. I love JRPGs. It is my favorite genre, especially though just the classic old school, just grinders. Grow your character up, kind of bond with them a little bit. I like that. None of those are cheap on the Genesis at all. None of them fit the budget. I went with one called Sorcerer's Kingdom. I've never played it. I watched reviews. I'm going to say mediocre to good reviews. It's a JRPG ish, but the battle also has like a tactical grid based element. So most of it proceeds as like a Dragon Warrior type thing, but then when you get into battles, there is an actual sort of movement grid based type of deal. And it's just as close as I could find to something that looked like a reputable JRPG anywhere close to my price range. There weren't a ton of JRPGs on the Genesis, is what it amounts to, and so all the good ones are stupid pricey. So I'm gonna take a chance. I'm gonna put this on there. It looks like something I could spend some good hours playing around with.
I poked around with it a little bit. It's pretty cool. Definitely definitely has that Dragon Warrior vibe. From what I could tell, you don't your party doesn't expand past one person.
I think it does eventually. I'm not
Oh
positive.
yeah.
Don't quote me on it, but I think it becomes more of a tactical experience, and then I think your party grows, and then it's more about
Oh,
moving people in the right places. And I was thinking it might appeal to you in that kind of Shining Force way, but it's still different because it's like in an enclosed arena in a battle space, sort of. But again, I've never played it, so I actually don't know. I just had to have something of that ilk on my list. And that one goes in at $20. Sword of Vermilion comes in at 14. If you're keeping track at home, that means I have $2 left. That's exactly $2. And so I picked Hardball 3 just to fill a space, just to put a baseball game in there because there's a lot of cheap baseball games on the Genesis. I've never played Hardball, anything in the series. I just saw it was $2, and I was like, well, I could have a baseball game, and it doesn't have horrible. It was either that or like Tony LaRusse's baseball for $2. So I threw
RBI
that in.
RBI baseball 93 comes in at like $3. That'd be my choice.
Punch a kid in the face, steal $1. RBI Baseball 93 is a great choice. Long story short, if you want a cheap sports game, baseball is going to have your cheapest options, like your $3 and $2. That's your game shows and your baseball games.
RBI baseball 93 has semi-faithful recreations of all 30 stadiums that were around then,
Oh,
as well as
nice.
they could be recreated in 16 bits, and a mode that actually lets you just like move a cursor around and look at all the stadiums and like just
Ooh.
as a mode, it just says Stadium Tour.
All right, you
It's
sold
pretty
me.
cool.
I will punch a kid and steal $1, or I'll sub out Road Rash 2 for Road Rash 1 or whatever. I'll do it. I'll take you up on that. Sports Talk Baseball is typically regarded as the best one. It's only $5, so I would say it's an honorable mention. It's one of the few that I've played. I haven't played much baseball at all on the Genesis. I've played some Sports Talk, and it is good. I like it. Weird name, but it makes sense, right? Great announcing, great voice digitization, if you will.
I think that would have been around the same time as Joe Montana Sports Talk Football, so they were probably just like, "Oh, here we can do this with baseball too."
Let's just do it on all the things, absolutely. So I would say those are, honorable mentions, if you will. On that note, I've been talking for like 10 straight minutes. Let's get to some of your honorable mentions. Anything else you just got to throw in? Don't limit yourself. Teach me things.
My first honorable mention was it was going to be Streets of Rage, and I forgot it's on the six pack. Totally forgot about that.
See, you
But
missed out. Take me
don't
up
buy
on my offer. Let me send you with my $10 that I save off Road Rage.
yeah, don't buy Streets of Rage for $23. Buy the six pack
Buy the
for
six pack.
$10, and you get 5 other games too.
And then message us and be like, thanks. Nobody's going to do that because everybody that knows Genesis probably already has a six pack. You know what? Maybe
Yeah.
not. Maybe Genesis six pack is like this hidden secret and we're sharing it with the world. I doubt it, but maybe.
If you want another Genesis compilation, Sonic Classics also pretty good. If you want to snatch that up, that has Sonic 2 and Mean Bean Machine and maybe Sonic 1.
1, 2, and Mean Bean Machine. That's correct.
Mean Bean Machine is frustrating as all get out.
not my game. That's fine. It's a bonus. It's $13, I think, is what the whole cart was.
It's
Yeah,
it's Puyo Puyo.
yeah, yeah. More of
My
a
next
puzzle league guy myself, but it's same concept.
my next one's one that is very dear to my heart, but I feel like you probably have to enjoy the activity to enjoy the game. Minnesota Fats Pool Legend. It's an excellent pool simulator
We've
for that
talked about
era.
this before. It has a different name on some other console, but I used to have it on the Saturn back when I had like two Saturn games. I had it on the Saturn. Pretty smooth playing on the Saturn. I'm not saying, I don't know what it's worth these days or anything. I don't know if you're going to go get it on Saturn. I just remember being a pretty smooth pool experience on the Saturn.
You definitely should probably enjoy pool if you're going to buy it because it's running at 16 loose, but it has I get a legitimate campaign to it, and it's pretty good.
It's better than Data East Side Pocket.
Uh, well, it is Data East Side Pocket, but it's okay.
Oh, is that what it? Maybe that's
Yeah,
what I was thinking of. Is that I had another
it
name?
is. I think
Okay.
on Saturn it's Side Pocket 2 or something like that, maybe.
On Saturn, it was Minnesota Fats.
It
I
is a
had,
Minnesota.
yeah, I had that one for sure.
Maybe it's
So,
in Japan. Maybe in Japan then, because in Japan they were like, nobody knows who the fuck Minnesota Fats is, so we need to call this something else.
to be fair, I live here and I don't know who Minnesota Fats is. It must be an Ohio thing. I don't know, or a Minnesota thing. I guess would make more sense.
He's a he's a. You watch The Hustler with Paul Newman.
Is okay. I have a rule about watching movies that are going to feel feelings. Don't make me feel feelings, okay?
It's only going to make you feel like you really want to become a really good pool player
Okay, I can handle that feeling.
because Paul Newman makes it look super cool. And then you're
I
going to be like,
I
I
don't
have
play
to screw
a
him
ton
up.
of pool, but I do have an uncle who has one hand. He lost the other hand in an accident. He's got a little nub, like right here above I guess, like above the lower part of his palm. But he still plays pool. He just crooks it right in this area, right, to shoot it. Still plays pool. And so I like to tell people, it's like, I learned to play pool from a one-armed man, one-handed man.
That's awesome.
I don't play pool very well. He's pretty good at it, personally. I am not. What you got next on that group?
Dinosaurs for Hire.
Never heard of it.
Imagine Contra, upgraded to 16-bit and made of more of a vertical scroller instead of a side scroller, and with dinosaurs dressed up to look like 80s action stars.
I'll take it. I'm in. You had me at 80s action stars.
Yeah. Dinosaurs for Hire.
Okay. Solid.
It's
What's that?
it's
What's that run?
expensive. It's expensive. It's in at 22.
Okay. So like
But
us expensive. All right, that's fair.
yeah. Golden Axe 2. We had hit on that a little bit earlier. I just think it does everything the first one does and does a little better.
That's fair.
$15. But again,
I
if you get the 6-pack and then you're getting the first one, you can't go wrong with the first one either.
I would be torn if I had to pick between them head to head. It just so happens that I like them both, and the first one's in there. And as you mentioned, just avoid 3 and you're fine.
I threw Sonic 3 in. I really love Sonic 3. It's a more complete experience with Sonic and Knuckles, but if you're not trying to shell out for both carts, I think Sonic 3 still. I think out of the two experiences that you're getting, if you only have one cart, Sonic 3 is a better experience by itself than Sonic and Knuckles is.
Is that a segue for me? Are you trying to lead me in right now, or you got more there?
No, I mean, that's just how I feel. My
Hey,
last honorable mention is just Shining Force 2. Nobody should spend $50 on it, but if you have $100 and you just want to play a strategy RPG, you can buy 2 copies of that because it's the best game ever made. And so you have one to play and one to stare at and admire and enjoy.
the beautiful part about Shining Force 2 is that it's another one of these games, Sonic 2 as well, and several others we haven't mentioned, that's on every, Sega compilation thing that they make every time, all the time. Shining Force 2 is always on there. The Switch one is probably in the 25-ish dollar range complete, give or take. And it's excellent. And Shining Force 2 is great on the go because it is not a fast game. It's not a sit down and put 10 minutes into a game. It's an experience, right? So get it
Absolutely.
on the Switch, play it on the go. Works great.
Emulate it, play it somehow that you can save state it because absolutely, it's some of those battles drag.
I haven't finished it yet. I'm 60 to 70% through, I would say. Strategy, tactical strategy, not always my thing, but generally grinding and exploration kind of is. And so I'm into it for that part. And I've been playing it on the Switch on that version. PS3, Xbox 360, that Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection is stellar. It's basically the same thing, but with a little more even. You got to find a way to play this game somehow.
I believe you can also get it as like a super cheap standalone on Steam for like $1 or $2.
Makes a lot of sense. Sega and Steam have a nice, long, glorious history. So I'm going to jump back to your Sonic 3 thing, because this was big for me. If we kind of took, when I was doing this, I was aiming for some amount of quantity and some amount of like breadth of genre, right? But if you just asked me like kind of, what do I want to say, rashly, like an instant reaction response, I want Sonic 3 plus Genesis. I love that experience. I think other than Sonic Mania on the Switch, Sonic Mania Plus, other than that, I think Sonic 3 plus Knuckles is the best Sonic experience that you can have. But
absolutely,
as you mentioned, unfortunately, it's like $34 for the pair on a good day. And that was just too much, but I love them. If I had if I was really going to ignore everything else and just go off kind of gut reaction, it's like I'd probably boil it down to, Sonic 3 plus Knuckles and college football and Hang Time, Ms. Pac-Man, Buster's Hidden Treasure. Like, I don't know what I'd probably just get rid of. I'd probably get rid of Sorcerer's Kingdom because I've never played it. And Sonic 2, that'd be $25. What else do I get? Gotta get rid of 10 more bucks. Road Rash, get rid of Road Rash. Sorry, Road Rash, no offense. But I really loved that experience. And then also, if you have Sonic 2, that also it doesn't build the whole experience, but you get to use Knuckles in Sonic 2, which lets you get to places that you didn't think you were going to get to as Sonic without being really talented.
Which is insane. Like some of the things that you can do on there as far as climbing and stuff. It's like, how did they add that in?
How did they do that after the fact? That's wild,
yeah,
man.
It's wild.
That's so wild. But like you said, it is unfortunately, by the time you get both games, $34 on a good day, maybe even if you play through it kind of every possible way, even if you spend $40 and you have 2 and 3 and Knuckles, you're talking 15 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
20 if you explore every nook and cranny or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're gonna go for like all the super emeralds on 3, where like you go through and you fill up the emeralds, but then you fill up the emeralds again.
So maybe you're getting, like I said, if you're exploring every nook and cranny of all 3 of those games in every way, shape, or form at $40, and you're getting 20 hours of gameplay, and the value proposition just isn't there. But I do think it is maybe the second best Sonic experience in existence. I'm not one of those fuck Sonic CD people, but I don't love Sonic CD, so I don't need anybody to bring that into my wheelhouse.
I don't get the hype for it either. It's decent, but
as I know it's fine. I've only ever played it on the GameCube collection, right? Like Sonic Gems Plus or something like that on the GameCube.
The Mega Collection.
Mega Collection. The only place I ever played it. It's like, yeah, okay, fine. That's fine. But Sonic 3 plus Knuckles, just the cartridge is exciting and interesting, and then plugging 2 into the cartridge, and that's cool too. Yeah. I love it.
And then the little weird thing where if you plug in any other cartridge, you get the Sonic 3 Chaos Emerald minigame.
I think that was so clever, and I don't know what the point of it, but it's just good fun. Okay, but finally getting off my high horse about being a tightass. I do have both those games, but those were 2 like original that I got, roughly when I got the console in probably garage sales with Mom at high school. My mom and I and my little brother went to a lot of garage sales. I imagine that's where I got it. So it didn't, at that point it probably wasn't that pricey. I doubt. Other ones that we both talked about and kind of liked, plenty of Street Fighters and Mortal Kombats, but Virtua Fighter 2 is not bad on Genesis. It's $10. Micro Machines, $14. Super Monaco GP, if you're into racing, that's $6 and $9, and both of those, 1 and 2, $6 and $9. They both scroll forward really well, pretty clean. Eternal Champions is one on mine, that's $6. Cyborg Justice, that's one we both talked about a little bit. Good arcadey beat 'em up, and it's like $8, so that's a good one. Lots of sports games. Madden, Sports Talk Baseball, NHL Series 94 tends to be the best one. NBA
If
Jam.
you
So
want,
there's just tons of sports games, and most of them, I don't know a lot about all of them, but if it's got EA on it and it's on the Genesis, it's probably not bad. Jungle
yeah,
Strike, Desert Strike, Lion King. What else I got? All the Echo games. We talked about Maximum Carnage. That's good. Vector Man 1 and 2, both 10-ish bucks.
those are really good.
Just action platformers. I feel like we both kind of hit our quota, so it got left off our lists, but just good action platformers.
Very
Also on
unique.
all those collections. Lemmings 2 is just Lemmings, but good and cheap. It's on the Genesis. I'm going to say the two that people probably don't know a ton about would be Cyborg Justice. I know we talked, kind of get some hate, but really it's just a good arcade beat 'em up. I don't know why people don't love it so much. Maybe it's
Lots of
not.
It's impressive amount of customization on it.
It is. You customize robots. Who don't like that? And Phantom 2040 is one that doesn't get a ton of love. I'd never played it until I watched it on like SNES Drunk, SNES Drunk channel, maybe a year and a half ago. And it's kind of Metroid-ish, but that's a good one. Gosh, I hope it's on the Genesis. Maybe he played it on the Super Nintendo.
I'm
But
pretty sure that's on Genesis. I think so.
I
I've
think it
heard
is
of it.
too.
I remember the show, but I never played the game.
I'm gonna say those last two are the two where people would not look at those and pick them up necessarily, or they wouldn't be familiar. But Phantom 2040 and Cyborg Justice, if you get a chance, go ahead and pick them up because they're cheap and good.
Absolutely, absolutely on the Cyborg Justice.
Anything else
And
that's coming to your top of mind right now? Any?
I was going to say, you mentioned NHL '94. If anybody wants that, you better get it because it is not going down in price anytime soon. It just keeps climbing.
It's only $9 or $10 loose right now, but you're talking about a game that used to be, I don't know, $3.
$3, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to triple in value,
I think
yeah.
the issue is that it probably is the best hockey experience on the Genesis. Is my bet.
I think it. I think there's a lot of people that even consider it the best hockey experience ever,
Have those people played Blades of Glory on the NES? No, Blades of Glory.
or even
Sorry,
Blades of Steel.
Blades of Steel. I'm thinking of the movie. Hey, for what it's worth, I do like that movie a lot.
I'd play that game.
I love Blades of Steel and Blades of Glory. I'd sing the song and play the game.
I love both of those as well.
I'm gonna scroll
Uh,
through my small shelf over here while you're naming off more stuff and try to eyeball things.
I was just going to say on NHL '94, just to bring it around to that again, the new NHL game 21 that's coming out, if you pre-order it, has some NHL '94 rewind mode that comes with it. I just saw that today. I was like, so it's highly regarded.
That's
Uh,
beautiful. I played. I would say my favorite one that I played. I haven't played a lot. I know there's some really well-regarded ones on the Saturn. The Saturn did some neat things, especially on some EA Sports games. I played a lot of 97 or 98 on the PS1. I don't remember which, but I remember really liking it. I'm looking over here at my shelf and realizing that I have a lot of crap. But I do have Shining in the Darkness. That's a Shining Force
I like it.
precursor, kind of spiritual
Yeah.
prequel.
Old school dungeon crawler, like point and
Little
click
little
dungeon
obscure
crawler.
for my taste, but not bad.
Bring your graph paper.
Fatal Labyrinth is kind of a decent experience in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a neat one. I actually just ran into that on the collection recently, and I was like, oh, this is actually a pretty cool game.
It didn't quite scratch the itch that I was looking for on some of those later more pricey titles. I don't know if it's that pricey in particular. I don't remember. I'm just kind of scrolling through what I have over here. Mostly a lot of crap. We did not mention a single time Ivan Iron Man Stewart's Super Off Road. I think that's a miss. And Batman Forever. I think it's a shame that neither of those.
I was getting ready to bring it up. I was
You were
gonna
getting
say,
ready. I'm sorry, I said it
I was,
before you
I
did.
was,
That's my
I was
mistake.
good. I was just thinking that I love Batman Forever, but nobody should ever purchase that game. It's fucking terrible.
You told me one time that your child enjoys that, and ever since then, I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't trust your small child's video game taste, which is fine because he's a small child.
Oh, his video game taste is terrible. He likes that and Mario 64 and Elmo's Letter Adventure. So
Elmo's Letter
the
Adventure has
classics.
really good voice acting in it, though, doesn't it? According to the Angry Video Game Nerd or GameSack or one of those
It
guys.
weirdly does have some strong voice acting. Like they
Sure.
got all the voice actors for the Muppets to do it.
That's pretty sick. Chase HQ, I don't know if that's expensive. That's kind of a fun game. Philios is a weird shooter that, in my opinion, like starts off really good for like a level, and then it just ramps up and it gets really bad. Toy Story has some weird 3D segments on the Genesis version, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
There's
it
a
has a
Super
lot.
Nintendo. Am I getting it backwards?
No, Sega has a lot of the Toy Story game. It starts out as a side scroller, but then there's a part where you drive the RC car. There's
It's kind of a
it's
digitized appearance, also, but it doesn't look horrible being Toy Story. I just remember the 3D experience. I couldn't remember which platform, but it's kind of unique.
I bought that game new way back in the day from Toys R Us with like birthday money, and I remember like spending like $40 or $50 on it, and just thinking it was so cool.
And I don't have it, but we talked a little bit about Batman and Robin on the NES, or on the Genesis. Is a kind of shooter or a run and gun. I guess you'd call it a run and gun.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
you've
don't.
got one or two players, and you're essentially just like throwing batarangs. You're
Yep.
just cutting down just hordes and hordes of baddies in kind of a run and gun action.
Bring two players or you're not beating it because some of the bosses are just so unfair with the way things happen that to fight them you need two players like working together or it's just you can't.
Totally different than the Super Nintendo version, which is also quite a bit more expensive, but arguably the best Batman game on the Genesis, probably. There's,
Batman Returns is good as well.
I do have Batman Returns. I haven't spent much time. Uh, Action platformer, straight up
Yeah.
platformer, I guess.
Yeah. Very
I,
similar to like the Ocean Batman on NES.
you mean the Sunsoft Bat?
Maybe. Is it
Ocean,
Sunsoft?
Ocean bad, Sunsoft good, right?
Is it? Maybe I don't
I don't
remember.
remember now.
The one with really big sprites. The Return of the Joker, which is that the Sunsoft or is that
Maybe it's both. Maybe Ocean developed, and so let me go find. I do remember. I like them. I like the first one way better, the small sprite purplish one, and and that one's Sunsoft, but I don't know who developed, published. I get it mixed up. Return of the Joker. This is a good one to end on, though. We end on Batman talk. I'm always ready to talk Batman. Okay. Oh, that's the video. Sorry, wrong thing. Video game. Batman Return of the Joker. NES. Developed by. Okay, that's developed and published by Sunsoft on the NES. And I do remember it. And the reason I remember specifically, I've never played it, but I know the music is good because Angry Video Game Nerd told me so. And then he also pointed out that by pushing up, you can make Batman's head turn away, and so he makes it look like he's dancing to the music when you push up on it. And then the original one, I think, was probably also Sunsoft on both development and published, if I had to guess. And harder, I think, probably.
I
But
think I've vaguely played that one. Return of the Joker is the one I have the most experience with, besides the several Batman titles on Sega that I've played all of those.
yeah. But the only reason I bring that up, I think Ocean's typically got pretty bad stuff. Don't
I'm,
opinion.
I mean, they made the Jurassic Park game on NES, and it's pretty hot garbage. So
Oh,
avoid that.
I thought you were gonna say the Jurassic Park game on the Genesis. Like, oh, I insulted you right before we were done. My bad, man. But no,
No,
you said
no.
NES. I'm safe. Okay.
Yeah, I think Virgin made the one on uh, Sega.
They put out some reputable stuff, right?
Yeah, they did.
Um,
They did Aladdin.
I was thinking, oh well, I hate those bastards. No, I'm just kidding. The Ocean. You know what? I can't help myself. I like Wikipedia. Ocean video game dev. Let's see what we get here. List of video game Ocean. I can't even find them on Wikipedia. All right, that's my last ditch effort, I swear, and then I'll give up and I'll go to bed like a normal person. Yes, video games. I'm sure the clicking in the keyboard is super annoying too.
People need to know about the Ocean Batman and how it's not as bad as people make it out to be.
I need to know about it. So I'm on the NES Wikipedia page. Oh, ooh. Cool World. What do we got? Dark Man? Not familiar with that one.
I vaguely familiar with the movie. I didn't know there was a game.
On the NES, apparently. Make sure I'm looking at the right columns here. North America, publisher, developer. Okay. Darkman. Uh, Jurassic Park on the NES. Okay, there's that one. You said that's
It,
bad, right?
it's top down and it's terrible.
I'm sorry to hear that. How dare they treat Jurassic Park that way? Oh, that's kind of irony. They made Lemmings on the NES. I've never played Lemmings on the NES. I
I haven't either. I've only ever
no
played it on Sega a little bit.
Lethal Weapon on the NES, which I'm pretty sure is really bad,
Oh
if I'm
God,
not
it has to
mistaken.
be.
Parasol Stars, Rainbow Island 2 on the NES. Rainbow Islands. It looks like they're mostly Europe stuff. The Untouchables, the Addams Family. Okay, so not a lot on the NES stateside. Not a lot on the NES stateside. Hey, learned something about Ocean today. That's all I got, man. I don't know if you have any parting words of wisdom for aspiring Genesis collectors, other than it's probably one of the friendlier retro consoles to collect for.
Emulate Shining Force 2 before you buy it to make sure you like it. That's a heavy hitter.
And you know
Well
what?
worth it.
In general, those Sega collections tend to emulate pretty well. I know the sound can be a little off sometimes, but if you
Absolutely.
didn't grow up playing with the actual original console and have like heavy nostalgia, you probably wouldn't even notice.
Or if you're just normal people like us, you probably won't notice either.
I won't notice because I'm stupid. You could notice if you're not stupid, or maybe you just didn't grow up with the console. Even the mini console is fine. I always recommend the PS3 and Xbox 360 collection because I don't know many people who have video games who don't have those consoles.
That
And
would be
it's
my recommendation as well.
straight up $5, and you can even unlock some Master System games
Yeah.
on there as well, which
Yeah.
is really kind of sick. So you know what, go do those. I think that's my recommendation. Is it's pretty easy to collect for, and it's pretty easy to avoid collecting for by playing those versions. That's what I got. Anything
Go
else?
out. No, go out, spend $100, get a Sega collection.
Absolutely. And spend 50 of it on Shining Force 2, and then 34 on Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, and then the last $16 on however many copies of Ivan Iron Man Stewart's Super Off Road that you can afford.
That's
Probably 16 copies for
at
$16.
least.
I
At
don't
least.
I don't know what the going rate is, but go grab that one.
You might get 32 copies.
You might get the. It depends on if you get a BOGO deal or not. You could come away with 100. We don't know what the limit. Don't cap your imagination. You know what I'm saying? In the meantime, Aaron, thanks a lot for hanging out with me. I super appreciate it. And if you happen to be a random soul on Twitch or YouTube or whatever who sees this, I'll put an audio version out there as well. Thanks for listening, and we hope you at least got some like good brainstormy ideas for grabbing some cheap Genesis games. My throat's dying because I've been talking for like 5 hours this afternoon, so I'm gonna head out. Aaron, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it.
It's been real, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you soon, buddy.